The lesson I'm going to present to you today is divided in 3.5 minutes of myself having a short briefing of the subject of Neuro Linguistic Programming, and after that 3.5 meetings of question and answers. So for that I will ask you to pay attention to what the first 3.5 meetings I have to say, and then ask some questions. This is all part from the first lesson of the manual. Neuro-linguistic programming, I don't know how many of you have any idea what that's supposed to mean. Could you please raise your hands up? Shyly, one hand, two hands. Okay, so a part of you. It's pseudoscience, I would say, and it was concealed from the obvious public up until 1970s. It's a method built and used by the CIA. I'm guessing all of us know what CIA is, from the perspective in the Second World War and in the Cold War. But up until then, it was up to the public. So in 1970s in California, there were two psychologists who thought that it's a good way of showing it to the public, because common people like us, could benefit from it. It says basically that you can use neuro, right, so the brain, and linguistic, the language, with the behavior you are having in order to program yourself for success or for failure. It depends what your objective is. There have been a lot of versions of this neuro-linguistic programming among the years, one of which I would like to talk about is Neuro-Linguistic Programming by Culda. I don't know if you are aware or have any idea what this method is supposed to be. Any of you? Besides the one in front, okay? Raluca Culda is a psychologist which is based in Vienna, Austria, and she is the mentee of Virginia Satir and Milton Erickson. The way she thought about this method was to take the neuro-linguistic programming as a way of programming your behavior in order to have success, and put it into a way of programming your behavior in order to be happy and in order to be in connection with things that matter to you. So in this method, you don't have God if you don't want to, but you have energy, you have universe, and you have resources. In another way, you are supposed to think of a greater good, which in religion is called love and be loved and concepts like that. In neuro-linguistic programming by Culda is the subconscious of the social environment. So everybody is connected with everybody within a subconscious, which is general. And the things that we are living happy or sad are influencing our behavior, our experiences. Our ancestors did influence us, and we will influence our nephews and sons and daughters. And one of the things you can get out of this method is that you can choose to be happy, if not for yourself, but for the ones that will follow you, because that will influence it. One last thing before the Q&A session is that people usually ask me, well, isn't this kind of weird and creepy? Which that might be, okay, because we are doing a lot of meditation and we are working a lot with our bodies, as with fingers and with eyes, closing your eyes, open your eyes. What I like of this method, I am a follower and I have my coaching degree in this method, is the fact that it's very tolerant. So you can choose whatever words you want or whatever resources you want in order to be happy. The basic is just let it be. Okay, so if there are any questions, hopefully from the audience, please.
Can you give us an example of what worked for you?
Well, yes, I can give an example. I have to think of something that I could share with you. Again, yes. One of the things that I did discover lately in the couple of months working with a large group of people is the fact that I'm starting to be more tolerant and more close to them. And I think 1 year ago, it would take somebody who didn't know me in a matter of hours or maybe days to get to know me and to see the funny face. And now it doesn't really take that much, a couple of minutes. And that one of the reasons is that I learned to be friendly with myself and not to be a high achiever and to avoid failure, actually to embrace it and to be happy with things that I'm not good at and with things that I'm good at to pursue them. Yes. I'm going to take you and then Nadia.
Okay. So you said that the Couchera method, it's used in order to program our behavior in order to be happy.
Yeah.
If I'm already happy, what does is it good for me?
It makes you understand the methods within the way you are doing it. So it's very likely that you got to this point not knowing how to do it. And if you have a good, I'm going to talk in the corporation language right now. If you have a standard and you can be happy, you can choose to learn somebody else to be happy. As I said, it's about the greater good. And it's about you in the first place, but in the second place, it's about the greater good and influencing somebody else to be happy also.
Okay, you mentioned choosing to be happy.
Yes.
That's a bit vague.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how choosing to be happy, how do you do that? How do you choose?
This is a very large answer. I'm gonna try a shorter one. The premises for this is that you have the availability, actually the freedom to choose, to make the steps that will make you happy, or to stay where you are and accept failure as a state of being, and unhappiness as a state of being. This is one of the things I like about this method, is that you have the freedom of choosing. And if you want to do that, it's going to help you discover things that work for you. And this is not a general good, it's not a religion, it's something that's custom made.
But if we program ourselves to be happy, isn't that a fabricated happiness, a plastic happiness, and doesn't really come from within? It's just we induce that happiness like a shot of drugs or something like that.
Well, this is one of the points I was asking myself in the beginning, and I discovered it is not. But I wouldn't have the arguments convincing you about this, because this is oneself's journey. What I can say is that for everybody that I've met so far and did embrace this method, they understood they're not living in a bubble or in a plastic world. It's they discovered themselves, and this is a world, a journey for self-discovering.
Okay, and can you use it to program yourself to feel miserable?
Absolutely.
And you can program others to feel miserable?
Absolutely, I believe so. At least this is a version that I've seen. There is a very thin line between doing the good in programming or manipulating, you know. And I'm sure at the beginning, at least a couple of you thought about manipulation when I started Neuro Linguistic Programming. There is a thin line, and once you get to know the tools, it's your choice.
How did your life improve after you?
I'm happy.
Okay, some specific, concrete details. I don't know, you increased your productivity with 34.5% or something.
Yeah, actually I sleep less, I work more. I don't know.
You sleep less?
Yes.
And that's a
No,
good thing?
I can be happier in sadder circumstances, I think. Before starting this method, I was a high achiever, which I am also right now, but the difference is that I'm not beating myself up when I don't reach a target. I am looking for other and different methods to do it. And for me, a very important purpose in this is to facilitate anybody else, somebody else, who intends to be better in what he or she does. And that did help me. I'm a better facilitator after this. Yes, one more question, and because the time is going to kill me.
I did not understand exactly how can we influence our grandsons and our sons' happiness by this method.
I would be, yes.
Unconscious, I don't know how it functions.
I will be very happy to explain to you in the break, because this is a larger answer that I could afford to say, but I could explain it to you if it's okay in the break. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much.